What's going on, guys? I'm sorry, last week I was not able to record any videos. Of course, with this whole thing going on about the coronavirus, here at Shrine of the Little Flower, the Archdiocese of Detroit, we've just been doing so much to secure and reassure people. We're trying to stay clean. I have a habit of like to rubbing my eyes. I haven't done that in the last a couple of weeks, in fact. And so, just like all of us, these are very unsure times that we're living in. So I just want to just speak a little bit about kind of the times that we're living in now. Something that brings to mind, I spoke about this yesterday in my homily, and I wrote about it in my homily. In fact, a really good friend of mine, Father Bill Van Wagner from the Diocese of Madison, he mentioned to me a couple of days ago, we were on the phone, and he goes, well, you know where the word quarantine comes from? And it comes from 40, it's 40 days. And it was when a person got sick, and that person would leave the community and spend 40 days, 40 personal days in quarantine. And so it's just so providential in so many ways that this time that we're being asked to live somewhat in social distancing or some form of quarantine that is during the liturgical 40 days of Lent. As you know, in many languages, like in Spanish, cuaresima, it simply means 40. So in English, we don't use 40 days, but in most languages, for Lent, they use the term 40 days. So there's a lot of connections there, a lot of spiritual connections that we can make. And so with it being still Lent, we still have to move towards the Lord in our Lenten observances, fasting, almsgiving, prayer, sacred reading. That's still a part of this whole reality that we live in. In fact, I think even now we can even deepen that Lenten observances, the fact that these times have called us in a very concrete way, the fact that we're not able to offer public masses, to go to that desert like Jesus did in those 40 days that Jesus spent in the desert, being tempted, but knowing that his God, his Father, who is God, would lead him through. And so we have to have that same approach as Christ did in the desert, that God our Father and his Son Jesus, who is God as well, will lead us through these days. These will be trying moments for many of us, for our families, friends. I am a person that the last thing I like is social distancing. And I've already started to talk further away from people and avoid going to certain dinners and all that. And for me, that's already a cross to bear. But I think about this being the Lenten time, and that's a time of penance. And so sometimes, like Pope Benedict XVI said in his book, Jesus of Nazareth, God allows his people to go through certain trials and tribulations, even from the evil one himself, that he allows that. And it's not for our own destruction, but for a greater purity, that we come to recognize our sin, and so as to uproot that sin. So we have to live this time in a very spiritual way. Another thing I wrote in my homily yesterday is the whole sense of the tradition of Holy Saturday. As many of you know who do attend the Easter liturgies and attend daily Mass and Sunday Mass, you know that Holy Saturday is the one day out of the year that we have no Masses are said on Holy Saturday. It's the great silence of the Church that the Church has observed for centuries now. And I can't help but see the connection of this silence of Holy Saturday, that time that Jesus went into the tomb, the time that he descended into the dead to liberate people from the dead, liberate souls from the dead, that time that he descended, as the Creed says, into hell to liberate us, to liberate the souls. I can't help but see that this is a time that we can live our Holy Saturday. And perhaps it's the Lord asking us of his church in a very particular way to live that Holy Saturday, live in that great silence, live in that great penitence that Christ offered to the world, and we can offer to Christ for the sake of salvation of the world. For a while now, I have talked to many different friends from Italy. As some of you know, I lived 13 years of my life in Italy. So most of my adult life was in another country. And I have a lot of friends that I'm very still much connected with. We've texted back and forth, video chat, we've spoken on the phone. Every other day I listen to Italian TV. I was listening to it early this morning. And so there's a lot of solidarity that we can have with our brothers and sisters in Italy. And since I've been listening to much of this news weeks ago, what was going on, it was only a matter of time that it would hit us. I mean, let's just face that. But these are times that we can recognize that these are strange times, that these are very difficult times. These are times of avoidance of others. But these are also times we can really deepen our spiritual life, that we can really trust in God, that He will lead us through this, that perhaps this is a moment where we can enter into our own interior life and work out our salvation in our interior life, but also be a support for those who are just anxious, or those who don't know what to do in these times because they're just so frightened. So we as Christians, as baptized in the Blessed Trinity, we can be a sure hope to the world if we can live a certain constancy, even in the midst of great tribulations and trials in the world. That if we can live out a certain constancy in our lives, and they see that in us, then we can be a sure hope that Christ Jesus is the hope of our salvation. Another thing I just want to mention is, and I have this difficulty, so I do like Lectio period. I do a 30-minute Lectio. I meditate on the words of God, and I just feel His presence. And then 5 minutes later, my thoughts are just racing. And I think one of the reasons why that happens is because, what am I doing? I'm going to my phone. I'm scrolling. What's the next set of news? Who are the new patients that have the coronavirus in Michigan? What did the president say? What is the CDC saying? Et cetera, et cetera. It's like, do I really need the quickest news available? Perhaps not. Perhaps I can sparse it out in my day, where I say, okay, at 12 o'clock, that'll be the next time I'll look at news about this, or later in the day. Now, I'm not saying we should just avoid the news or avoid social media and all that, but maybe we can sparse it out a little bit so as not to be constantly connected in a way. You want to talk about social distancing. I mean, social media distancing can certainly help so that we can grow deeper in our interior life. But that's not to say we do want to look at the news. We definitely want to be connected of what's going on, but maybe just sparse that out a little bit. And what can we do during that time that we're sparsed out? Obviously, we'll be talking about, other priests will be talking about, and other people will be talking about family life and how we do that. So I don't want to get into that, but I think what we can do on a personal level, on an individual level, is really spend some time in prayer. Spend some time in quiet prayer, so that when you do speak, you have the words of Christ present in you. That people see you. This person must have faith. Look, they're not even nervous. Their face looks calm. I think that's what we can do. So brothers and sisters, pray for me. I'll be praying for everyone. I'll be offering private masses. I will continue the 40-second video, so you don't have to listen to however long this spiel has been, but I want to go back to the 40-second video. I want to go back to my Lenten observances. I mean, I knew this just like last week when all of this started to hit, and I said, this must be from the Lord, in a way that He's allowed a certain natural and moral evil for the entire world. So the best thing I can do is be a sure hope for others in Christ Jesus, but for a personal level, in my own personal life, in my own interior and spiritual life, this is a time that I need to convert even more to the Lord. And how do I do that during Lent? I live according to my Lenten observances: fasting, prayer, almsgiving, and sacred reading. So, thank you. God bless.